Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and welcome or welcome back, depending on the situation. I would like to welcome our musical guest today. This is Rennie, vocals, and Davis on the piano. So they are our special guests today, so please make them feel welcome. So welcome here to all of us. And especially those who are joining us online out there in Cyberland, welcome. Here at Unity Spiritual Center, our mission is transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. My name is Pat Shimori, and I am the platform assistant. Please, right now, go ahead and get your phone out and check it for the second or third time that it is off. It's always awkward when those go off during the meditation. But so, before you do that, give a shout out to your people, let them know that you're happy to be here, and thereby suggesting they might be happy to be here too. So, I want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. I will say it one time and then ask that you say it along with me. There is only one power and one presence active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This is Unity's foundational principle: one presence, one power, one life, living as and through each and every one of us. Good reminder. This morning, we'll be hearing from Dr. Gary, who is going to be giving actually quite a good talk. I was here for the 9, so I know. When Providence moves in. And Dr. Jane will be doing the meditation, which is also lovely. So we're all in for a very good day with some wonderful music. And I'll hand it back to you all for our community song.
That you will sing along, right?
Yes.
All right.
It's about love.
Welcome. I'm Linda Tweedy, and I have the announcements. They're coming. Island of Sanity with Reverend Jane. Are you ready to widen your circle of compassion and become an evolutionary in order to help welcome a kinder world into manifestation? Yes. Good. Join Jane to explore these questions in depth at monthly gatherings March 2nd, April 7th, and May 18th at 10 a.m. The prerequisites for the class include completing the 21-day Q process and watching the Evolving Paradigm presentations, parts 1 and 2, which are available on video. And if you're interested, sign up in the bookstore. Spirit groups. Today, after the second service in the fireside room, is sign up. Q process debriefing at 12:30 in the chapel. Wayne Green's celebration this next Saturday, February 9th at 2 p.m. In lieu of flowers, they're asking for donations to the Dishman Hills Conservatory. And on top of that, the Sisters in Spirit group meeting for Saturday has been canceled so that they can all go to the memorial. And the annual meeting, February 21st at 1 p.m. Lunch will be available prior, benefiting the youth. Thank you.
So this is the center update with Dr. Gary. Am I on?
You're on.
Okay. No?
You're not.
Oh, this is my bad. Still waiting for the switch over to my slides. There we go. So this is the center update with Dr. Gary, an opportunity for me to share a little bit about what happens behind the scenes, things that aren't necessarily apparent via our community announcements. So last Sunday, after services, 11 o'clock service, we had our town hall meeting, and Dr. Jim presented our budget, and we had a robust conversation about it. And within that meeting, a question was asked. And so we had also shared that our goal is to 100% underwrite our operational expenses via automatic giving. And that's our goal. And so someone asked the question, well, how are we doing with respect to that goal? And so rather than to just share that information with a very small group, we had about 55 or 60 people, because our whole community needs to be hearing this information, because this is about how we are doing with that intent. And so I just want to share that information very briefly now. So first of all, we're moving from a minister-centric ministry practice to a mission-centric ministry practice, because the minister-centric model of ministry is not sustainable anymore. So we're moving out of a tithing-based funding model into a spiritual cooperative. And so in order to shift our emphasis from focusing on developing owner partners from the traditional way of just hoping that you value and appreciate what your experience is and giving into that, we are instead wanting to create a spiritual cooperative where we own what we're trying to create together. And so towards that aim, we have set this goal, and every year we're going to be holding up the mirror with respect to how we are doing in the intent to 100% underwrite our operational expenses. Now, our operational expenses are different than the whole budget, and so it's calculated by virtue of what we need to anticipate as love offerings and donations and tithes from our community members and friends, as well as what we must also, in addition, raise with respect to fundraisers in order to be able to fund the organization. So this amount is $283,000. Our overall budget is $304,000 for this next year. So if we have 200 people in our community that we can count on for some financial relationship to the church, then we take that 200 and divide it into the 283,000. We come up with a cooperative share, and that's $118 per month per adult out of those 200 adults, out of us. And that translates into $27 a week per adult. Now, not everybody is able to do that. That's $120 a month, and so only 29.5% of our community meets or exceeds that benchmark. And so with that said, what we're wanting to understand and celebrate is that right now 76% or 155 people out of the 200 are involved in some form of automatic giving, either through the Tithely app, through automatic bill pay, or through their own banking system, or they've given us their credit card to debit, or they write checks religiously. So that group, 76% of us, is engaged in that effort. So it means we have room for development. Now, those of us that are in that group of automatic giving, we contribute 68% towards the effort of funding the $283,000. So our effort at automatic giving is funding almost 3/4, not quite, of what's needed. And so what we need now to kind of consider, and that is, we need to move the needles if we're to reach this goal. And so let's say the goal in 5 years is for us to 100% underwrite the operational expenses of this church. And so all we need to do is each year look at moving these needles. So next year, if we can look at moving the amount of people who are not involved in automatic giving to automatic giving from 76% to like 80%, then we'll see that we're actually making progress. Moving the amount that we totally raised together from 68% to maybe 75%, and moving those who are involved in meeting that corporate share benchmark from 29.5% to maybe 35% of us. And so some of the things that you can consider doing without thinking about giving any more, and we're not asking people to give more, we're just asking everybody to be conscious and intentional with respect to your relationship to the ministry. Most people only give when they're present, and when they're not, while they still care about the church, we have to deal with the shortfall. So if just by making your gift automatic, what you'd normally give in a month, making that what we can count on, that helps us out. Moving from us debiting your credit card to you using the Tithely app or using your own bank bill pay saves us $400 in annual fees a year. And then finally, just looking at the whole idea of creating a spiritual cooperative where we're in owners, and the owners are in partnership with the leaders of the ministry. To be in the question of what can I do in the context of my effort to move those needles, that's a question that we're asking each of us to be in integrity with. Not so much doing what you're doing, but doing in the context of really joining the effort to make sure that this organization, Unity Spiritual Center, and its purpose of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference, that this organization is sustained. Okay, that's my pitch. That answers that question. Thank you so much for your attention.
just breathe in the beauty of those words. God is healing me. There's healing in our hands, in our hearts, in our minds, in our words. For God is healing us. And so I invite you to join me for this time of meditation, this healing meditation. And if you know of someone in need of healing, in need of prayer support, hold them in your hearts as we join together. And if you choose, you can say their name out loud so that we can hold them in this energetic field of healing. And so as we join together, we set aside any cares or worries or thoughts. Just let it go. And feel the chair beneath you. Feel it supporting you. Feel your feet on the floor, grounded. And begin to follow the breath. And let your breath anchor you deeper and deeper into this now moment, knowing that it is only in the present moment that we can experience the presence of God. Everywhere present, always within us, always with us. We live and move and have our being in this holy presence. And so we open ourselves to the power of the one presence, the one life, that healing power that creates and sustains all of life. Let it lift you. No matter what you are going through, allow that healing spirit to lift you, to fill you. And let it radiate from within. As we create this energetic field of compassion and kindness. And in the center of this field, we place all those in need of prayer support. We see them surrounded and folded and lifted by this healing power of spirit. And we hold that vision together, knowing that we are all here to be the avenue through which spirit is expressed on this planet, here and now. And so we continue breathing, following the breath, and allowing the Spirit of God to be manifest through us, releasing that imprisoned splendor of divine love as we enter the silence. God is our source, original source. And as we turn within, as we allow that Spirit of God to move through us, we become the expressions of the One. We are here to be the one to make the difference in our world. And for this opportunity, for the truth that sets us free, that there is healing in our hands, in our minds, in our voices, we give grateful thanks. And so it is.
So I was planning on a talk, start working on my talk for Sunday, Monday, and I got back. I was really excited about my talk for today. It was called "Wake Up and Smell the Focus." It's all about meditation, and I wanted to talk about my favorite meditation practice, and that's working with Dr. Joe Dispenza's materials. But my guidance came in, and so I had to change things. And when I come back with a clear sense of something's changing, I check in with Jane, and she concurs. Okay, so what's different is that last Sunday we had our town hall meeting, and most of our community wasn't there. And I did mention that we'd be sharing news that would affect the future of Unity Spiritual Center, and so Jane and I shared that we're going to be retiring in 2 years. And we didn't want that news to kind of go out as rumors or murmurings. And we knew that only a few, about 55, 60 people heard that news and heard our conversation about how we came up with that decision, and that the majority of folks haven't really heard that. And as I've been with that decision, that announcement, I've discovered that I'm in process myself, and so I have to kind of shake it all out. I have to get this kind of complete this process. And so I want to do two things today. I want to share a little bit about our process for coming up with this decision, and then I wanted to really land on the common struggle that I think all of us have, and that is we have something big that we want to see come forth in our life, but for whatever reason, we sense that we are in our own way. Have you ever discovered one of those moments or those life conditions? You kind of run out of all the excuses with respect to what's not happening out there, and you finally come to terms with, I'm in my own way. And so when it came to the whole question of retirement, which I'm wanting to talk about in just a bit, I discovered that I had this huge belief that I don't believe that I can afford to retire. And so when you come up with a decision that you're going to retire, but you're living in the belief that you can't afford to retire, it changes how you're in relationship with what you're trying to plan in terms of creating your greater good. And so part of that is this. I'm just kind of getting into the conversation right now, but so suffice to say that about October, Jane and I heard murmurings from the office as Linda and Jim got together to sit down with some others to put together our budget. They were in the question. Our ministers have been with us for a while now. When are they supposed to leave? Because we had told them when we were hired, we were given a 5-year contract and that we would be retiring after we were complete here. We have property in Kettle Falls. It's not like we're going anywhere. It's just that when we're done, that's what's going to happen. And so from the very beginning, there was the awareness as far as those who hired us that we would have 5 years and then we'd have to be talking about what's next. And so it came to this team to discover, well, last time when Jane and Gary were hired, we had to get money from the congregation to be able to even fund the search process. So we should be budgeting for that eventuality. And then, oh, by the way, Gary and Jane, when are you planning to retire? So we can kind of... And I did not. Jane was, yeah, okay, let's be in that conversation because, she's got grand critters all over Canada. And she needs to, she needs to be about that kind of part of her life. And here I am, pushing away that question because I'm living in the belief that I can't afford to retire. So why would I want to welcome the conversation? And so every time we gathered to be a little bit closer to that conversation, I just sort of feeling myself in that dis-ease, that sense that I don't have what I need to be able to see my way into that eventuality. And so while I knew the principle, yeah, God would take care of us, but that doesn't help my indecision, my anxiety in that moment. So when it came to pass that we actually told the board, and the board kind of adjusted to that information, and then we told the staff, and the staff had to adjust to that information, and then nothing bad happened, and so everything was okay. But the idea of getting with the idea that we would have to, after 2 years, December 2020 is our last, on Jane's birthday is our last Sunday, or our last time, or the last day. We moved from being your ministers to being a part of this community. And so as I look towards that eventuality, it's more than just me dealing with my retirement. It's much more complicated than that. You see, part of my effort is, and part of what you've been drawn into by having us as your ministers, we were hired to turn this ministry around, to bring it into a place of viability because it was in decline, as is 9 out of 10 churches in the United States are in decline due to declining attendance and financial support. And part of the dynamic of dealing with the church in decline is that we cannot do the same things and expect different results. We have to do something totally different. So in these last 4 years that we've been engaged here, we've been evolving this ministry to a mission-centric ministry practice because it is more sustainable, and we're in the process of figuring out how to fund it, and that was part of what the Center Update was about. But the point is that as I look at my legacy, my personal passion and purpose is to transform the entire New Thought movement. Because if we go away, and the trends are is that congregational ministry is on its way out. If we go away, then that means that we lose the community that we're trying to cultivate as being our safety net for dealing with these chaotic times. And so for me, looking at 5 years and where we are in that process of bringing forth that new paradigm in ministry that could be a model for the entire New Thought movement, I'm looking at us, by the time we leave, will have been almost 6 years, and it's going to take 8 years for us to complete this work. So there's 2 more years after we retire that is still needed to be a part of our intentional effort to create a ministry that is going to be able to be sustained independent of Gary and Jane as being the spiritual leaders. So with that as being part of my concern about moving into the decision to pick a date, I had to also understand that that the work, the legacy that we're creating together can continue independent of our being the ministers, the senior ministers in our role. We can support this effort as your coaches, as a part of this community. So I was able to resolve my concern that our leaving would diminish this ministry's capacity to fulfill the purpose of evolving into a mission-centric ministry practice, and that I have a clear vision as to what it is that we can become in the time that we have left, and in the way in which you can be supported by Jane and myself. But suffice to say that there had to be a point where Jane and I had to go all in on an intent to actualize a dimension of our lives and our relationship to not only this ministry but our own personal life, that until that was actualized, we could not see how it is possible that we could accomplish the things that were important to us, including affording to be able to retire. And so part of what is important for us to kind of recognize is that all of us are called to go all in on something that we lack the scaffolding to be able to see how it's possible for this to be happening or taking place. That all of us have some important purpose or passion to fulfill and bring forth that we lack the clarity with respect to how can be brought into being, but yet we are still called to go all in by taking the steps that's necessary to go and make it begin and start to allow Providence to move. And when we understand that there is such a force as Providence, as this divine dimension that has as its essence a guarantee that we will be taken care of in every authentic step towards the fulfillment of our purpose and passion, if we know that that is the absolute truth, then we can trust in the process and in the dimension of ourself that is already calling us into the full expression of what and who we're meant to be in our lives. And so as Jane and I got to the place where we welcomed this decision, this choice, and as we began to settle in to the realization that we were setting in motion Providence. We were setting in motion in our lives a force that would take care of all the details that we couldn't even possibly imagine, but yet we're a part of the journey. And so I got to share a couple of things that have happened as a kind of one of these things that sort of shows, okay, that's it. It's really going on. So after we shared with the community last Sunday, then Monday happened, and this is before I decided to change my talk. I'm still working with talking about Dr. Joe meditation stuff. I'm focused on that, and then I forgot, it popped out of my mind. Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. You know, it's my alternative healing process that is a side effect. Anyway, so I received. So here's the thing. So we go all in, and from nowhere we get this email of a realtor sharing us information about a piece of property here in Spokane, 8 miles away from where we live out at Eagle Ridge. And it's a piece of property with a hangar on it. Okay? And it has a 2,600 foot runway on the property. And inside, wait a minute, and inside the hangar is a house. And I don't know if you recall my Mind movie, where that exact picture is depicted. Well, we went and saw that property yesterday.
You're moving there when you retire?
No. But that's not the point. The point is that when Providence moves, all of a sudden the universe starts showing up and say, okay, here we go. Are you ready? You're going to be tested. And so we got the first lead, and we had to go out, and we had to open ourselves. Is this it? Okay, so all of those possibilities are still there, but there's another one. There's another one. So 3 years ago, when I was needing to make some extra money, I applied for a job at Spokane Community College in the aviation vocational area. I wanted to help train people how to service and work with airplanes. I've built 4 airplanes, and I'm a pilot, so I do have skills. But at the time, I was not qualified. I didn't meet the qualifications, and I couldn't pass the drug test anyway. That because of the alternative therapy stuff. Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, so now there's a message on their answering machine from Spokane Community College Aeronautical Department. They want me to apply for the instructor's job. I got that call Monday. So the point is that when you go all in, Providence moves. And if we're not ready to be saying yes to what's coming, then we've missed something that we have created for ourselves, and that is the portal into the dimension of our being that is here to actualize who and what we are. We are the one unto our life, and if we do not go all in on proving that to ourselves, to the part of us that is still living in the disconnect, then we aren't doing the deeper work. We're still in magical thinking that something out there is going to rescue or save us. So as we are kind of in this struggle to kind of reconcile what we know is the truth. So, for instance, that sense that I can't afford to retire is like what Jesus describes as you can say unto this mountain, be thou cast into the sea, and if you should have faith enough, it shall obey you. That's the kind of thing that Jesus was describing as our capacity. That if we have a dimension of connection to our sense of who we truly are, which is what faith accesses, that dimension of ourself that is not tethered to our past or our story or our circumstances or the facts of our life, but is rather connected to the truth of who we are, what our essence is really here to express and be. And until we actualize that dimension of ourself, we'll be out there, not islands of sanity, but islands of insanity, insofar as our capacity to really serve the greater good. So the moment that Jane and I said, okay, we're going to say yes to this, all of a sudden we got so many ideas as to what we can do in these next 2 years that really propels this ministry into a capacity to be a model ministry for the entire Unity movement. I'm serious about this. And I got to tell you that we have colleagues, Jane and I have colleagues throughout the New Thought movement who are looking to us as being inspiration for what can happen when a community tethers itself to its spiritual practice and its effort to fulfill its purpose, as opposed to tethering itself to the theology that makes our sense of separation kind of more vivid and real. And we don't want to be entangled in trying to fix the world that's out there, but rather exercise our capacity to activate the dimension in us that is immune, or at least not diminished by what's happening in the outer. And I can see that if we are focused on providence, focused on the divine working through us, and hold ourselves quite dearly in the intent to not be swayed by what's happening out there, nor the voices in our heads that speak the words of limitation, then if we understand that the effort is not necessarily to make something that isn't there to happen, but rather to unleash what is possible from within, that is a different way in which we can be with whatever that we're having. So I want to ask this question. Do you have something in your life that you know is something that is important, that is calling you into a greater expression of who and what you've come here to be? Do you have something like that that's kind of percolating back there? Is there some place in your journey where you're aware of needing to take a step, but you've just been in your own way, but still knowing that that step has to happen if something greater is to take place? Do you have something like that in your life? Then what we're wanting to be able to arrive at is the understanding that once we go all in and we begin to recognize that I might not be able to see how it's possible that I can, quote, afford to retire right now, but if I know that the world is working to bring forth through me the clear and certain assurance that I am and always have been divinely cuddled into this intent to bring forth a greater version of myself, I can look back on all my life's journey, and because I have arrived in this woman's life, there is nothing that I've experienced that has been against me if I could get here. Can you see how that's so? Yes. And you have to find the one thing that you have in your life that you value so much that everything that's happened in your life, no matter how it's looked and felt, has been a movement towards your greater good. And if you have something good in your life that has that sense of, then you have to look back in your entire life and see that it's always been for you. And never, ever has it been not that way. So I'll leave you with this. The moment one definitely commits oneself and providence moves to, all sorts of things occur to help one that would never have otherwise occurred. The whole stream of events from the decision which no one could have dreamed would have come their way. Whatever you can do or dream, you can do. Begin it. Boldness has genius, power, magic in it. Begin it. Now. Okay, so Johann Wolfgang Goethe, Goethe, yes, a German statesman, philosopher, gives us these words that basically is a reiteration of what we already know, and that is divine providence, this divine sense that we are here to unfold ourselves into the greater expression of who and what we've come here to be. But we cannot waste time. We cannot waste time finding fault in what's happening out there. There's not going to be anything out there that's going to satisfy or resolve the deeper disconnect that we have within us. So we have to dive deeply into resolving our own disconnect in the context of the truth and who and what we've come here to be. And the best way to unleash that is to go all in on something that you can't see the final way to, because you see, in God there is no time, there is no how. The moment that we think about when is this going to happen or how does it happen, we disconnect, we separate ourselves from that very thing that we're wanting to call into our life. So we must be present to whatever we're having, the dimension of ourself that is here to make a difference. Let's bring ourselves into that intent to be the one unto our life, because providence moves when we go all in. God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Gary, for that message. it reminds me of a sort of a felt sense that I have of how excited spirit and the higher self is in meeting me at my dreams. It's just as excited for me to get there as I am to get to my dreams. And so when we find those ways to let go of the things that sort of tie us up and our old fears and that we use to comfort ourselves, when we can start to get rid of those, we can start rolling, and Providence can lead us into a new life. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is only one power, one presence, and one life. So whoever you are, and wherever you are in your journey of transformation, you are welcome right here. We'd especially like to welcome anyone here who is here for the first time. And if you are here for the first time and you feel comfortable raising your hand, please do so. And our ushers will hand out a gift packet for you. On the outside of the packet is a form you can fill out. Are there any new visitors? Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's right, we already met. Good to see you again.
So they're still asking to raise their hand high.
Oh yeah, keep those hands up if you would like the... We get everybody? Okay, almost. Warmer. All right, so I'll keep going. Keep your hands up until our ushers have found you, please. Once you fill that out, you can drop it into the collection basket as that goes around in lieu of offering, an offering. Once you fill that out, you'll be added to our mailing list for weekly e-news updates and our quarterly newsletter. Also, you can take that packet up to the barista and get yourself a nice beverage of your choice. So it's a great thing. And to the bookstore, you can get a CD of today's talk. And if you have any questions, and this goes for anybody who is their first time here or any of the long-timers, if you have any questions about here, feel free to come up to somebody wearing a yellow scarf. If you have a yellow scarf on, would you wave it around a little bit, let people see where you're at? All right, that's great. And I'd also like to, again, welcome the online viewers and thank you for being here. And with that, we have coming up next to be our welcoming song. So please, everybody rise and join us in song, and then after a verse or two, we'll go around and shake hands and hug and high five and namaste and all that nice stuff. So here we go. Go ahead, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. I hate to break up all the frivolity and hugs, but I will. My name is Jim Sledge. I have the privilege of being the treasurer on your board of trustees, and this is a time in our service where we acknowledge and appreciate all of your financial contributions to our wonderful place. I do want to comment on two things that Gary said. One, the committee that was discussing their time here and when they might leave was not trying to escort them out. I want to make that crystal clear. The other thing, and I appreciate Gary always saying that he's not asking you to give more. I have no problem asking you to give more. For the very simple reason that it always takes more. I mean, there's inflation going on, we have extra things that happen, we have furnaces that go out, there's lots of stuff that happens. So prayerfully consider, adding something to your automatic giving. It would be very appreciated. So the part that Gary talked about that resonated with me quite a while ago as we started putting this sort of thing together was that we are in partnership. We're in, as a group. Everything that we need, we have in this community. That's just a matter of bringing it forth. So as we think about that and take that into our hearts, let's get ready to say our prosperity blessing together. So together, I know that my giving blesses, multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share, and so it is.
Thank you, Davis, for that wonderful and skillful piece. Appreciate that. We give thanks for these gifts and for those who have given them, as we send them forth to bless our world. And so it is. Thank you. And as we are giving thanks for the gifts we are receiving here at Unity Spiritual Center, we'd like to take some time and thank those who are in service to our ministry. Today we are saying a special thanks to all of those who have worked in the bookstore. So if you have worked in the bookstore at one time or are ongoingly working in the bookstore, would you please raise your hand if you feel comfortable? Me too. Thank you all for help getting that going. I know books have been just a huge, huge part of my life. They were my guru for many years. Today our chaplains are Kathy and, your name went out of my head. Al. I've done this before, I swear. All right. Well, thank you both for being here in service to us. One of these wonderful people have been, or both of them, have been holding the entire service in prayer, which is just such a powerful thing. And a chaplain does that for us for every service. And if you have anything that's heavy on your heart or your mind, or something that you would choose to celebrate, you can pray with one of these chaplains, and they will be there with you and hold you in that prayer. They'll be at the front of the sanctuary up here after service. And so, should you need somebody, come up and see them. They're here for you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Also, you can fill out a prayer request. You can find that in the seat pocket in front of you. You can fill those out and drop them in the prayer box up front here, or there's one in the foyer. And the same goes if you know of somebody who would like to have a visit, whether they're in a hospital or they maybe in a retirement center or something to that effect, and they could use a visit. So you can go ahead and fill those out, drop them in the same prayer box, and we'll get somebody out to go and take care of and have a sit down with those people. And I believe it's time for some, are the youngins ready? I don't hear the clamoring and whatnot like normal. All right. Oh, now there we go. I love that happy sound of those kids, so. There it is. Okay, ready? And go.
Singing for this love is our life. We are singing.
Aren't we so blessed to have all of these wonderful youngsters running around and shining all over the place? I don't know if you've noticed, but there seems to be something going on up here with pigs and whatnot. So I'm going to turn it over here.
Okay, so as some of you guys may remember, we used to do a Kiss the Pig fundraiser. So we're bringing this back, and we're going to try and get a real pig here. So how it goes is you vote with your money. So we're going to have these out. And we're having next week, and we're going to have 3 YOU members and 3 adults who will kiss the pig, so it'll be the top 2. So yeah. Yeah, vote with your dollars.
Thank you very much. Another great thing is it's birthday day here at Unity. So everybody who's got a birthday in February, please raise their hand. Stand up. Stand up if it's your birth month. Oh, there's one. And another. A little reluctant, the Februaries are. You too? Happy birthday, young man. All right, let's sing Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. That is wonderful. Okay, so like I said, we love all these youngsters, and we'd like to give them our blessings. So please join me. Be the love you are. Sing the song you hear. Share your joy of life with people far and near. And now for ourselves. Be the love we are. Sing the song we hear. Share our joy of life with people far and near. Terrific. Now, it's time for the youngsters to find the people you came with. Find your moms, dads, guardians, grandparents, loving custodians, etc. And while that happy noise is going on, I wanted to make a quick announcement about Dennis Ashley. We're selling tickets for his play that's coming up. It's a fundraiser for his church, and that's going to be on the 15th and 16th of February. $15 a ticket. We're selling them here. He's got a church that's over 90 years old, and so you could imagine he's trying to put it up as fast as it's falling down. So right now they're trying to get the electrical system replaced, which I think involves like tubes and like paper-covered wire. So let's go ahead and see if we can help out with that. All right, and so time for our closing prayer. Please stand as you are able. This is our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth.
And now it's time for our peace song. Let us join.
Our Creator,
Sign up for spirit groups in the fireside room, and then 12:30 come to the chapel if you want to be debriefed in the Q process.